Hello, everyone. It's Shalora back here at the Convention Center, and I'm so excited to show you the very best of PAX West.
My name is Burgess. I'm a part of the team at Soft Drains, it's a new studio. We do a lot of different things. My big focus is on level design, though. The Ambrosia Sky is an immersive, first-person sci-fi clean-em-up where you play as Dahlia. And Dahlia is what we call a scarab, so sort of like a deep space undertaker / disaster cleanup specialist. So you're going to go into the rings of Saturn in this mushroom colony, which is actually like your hometown. But you're going after this crisis where you're going to be responsible for taking samples, cleaning up the fungus, and laying the dead to rest, many of whom are your friends and neighbors from your upbringing.
Sad.
Our community manager has been coming up to people on the show floor here at PAX and be like, have you ever been playing Car Wash Simulator but wanted to be like really sad while you're doing it? We have that very specific request covered.
I actually really like Car Wash Simulator, but I get bored. Like, I need a purpose.
Yeah. So that's one of the things for this game is like, we love classic immersive sim, first-person adventures, the exploration, the layers of storytelling, like rifling through people's emails, like there's real joy in that. But then like we saw what people are doing in like job simulators and like unconventional character fantasies and innovative gameplay out of that. So we really were like, can we bring those two things together so that now you're not like playing a cleaning game that is like, you're settled into like zenning out and like getting into like kind of the coziness of it, but like we have that, but then like something can happen, right? And like the stakes are always there, the atmosphere is always there, and I really love as a designer, now having the tools to create sort of like high beats of action with something other than like a dude with a gun,
right?
But also like create those like low beats by having like sort of like an interesting setup of like cleaning that you're gonna like really focus on and like get that like 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah. I was curious because you come from a AAA studio background, what you brought from that to Soft Drains and Ambrosia Sky.
I mean, I've learned a lot everywhere that I've had the chance to be part of a team, and with this game, like, we really wanted to be able to like punch above our weight. And one of the things that I learned in AAA, which might sound like counterintuitive to what we think about AAA, but there was a team I was on in particular where we were really able to make really, really big games with teams that were, still AAA size, but like a quarter of the size of comparable, big open world games.
Yeah.
And a lot of the lessons that we learned there about like, how do you work together? How do you trust the other person? How do you take the work that they've done and like use it and reuse it and challenge it? It makes like the stuff that you're making better. It makes the chemistry of the team better, but then you're able to do like a lot less or a lot more with a lot less.
Right.
And I actually like feel like I really learned that in AAA, and then bringing that into an indie atmosphere, we get sort of like take that and like just like really ignite it, because now it's like it's an imperative that like if somebody isn't doing a thing, you've got to find a way to do it.
Right. And
that is less challenged in AAA, but like being able to fuse those two worlds has been, I think, really to our benefit on this game.
Yeah, you have to be the change you want to see.
Yeah. That comes up a lot in our Slack.
Yeah, which is a lot easier when it's a smaller studio.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this a few times talking about the game, and we actually like authentically we say this even when we're like talking about working with somebody for the first time. It's like, no matter if you're like a programmer, a producer, an artist, a designer, like we really want this game to be the product that like only this group of people and their lived experiences could create at this moment. Like if this is a sculpture, when we're all done and like it's been baked, I want you to be able to step back and see your fingerprints in that clay, because otherwise it's just like some one person's vision that they're just waiting for the chance to make. Like, no, like when we started, it's like, who are we? And the game found its identity and its expression through the collective expression of all the individuals.
Yeah, it's a really good analogy.
Yeah. It's just, we have a set of values, that we can really try and work around.
I think it's like, from looking at the studio that I could see anyway, like I thought that was pretty representative. Like I'm a trans person, so I was like, it feels comforting to know that there are other like trans people out there doing games and making things and in studios and making stuff. Speaking of,
yeah.
I adored the unique art of the game, which I think was Vash Taylor.
Oh yeah, Vash has been working with us. Yeah.
And they come from like a comic background.
Yeah. So Ambrosia Sky, as far as I understand, it's Vash's first time working in games. So they came over from really incredible work in in comics and illustration, And with this game, it was like so important to us, like not just artistically, but like there's a business sort of imperative. Like there's so many great games that standing out and looking different and sounding different and having a different kind of story, there's like, it's a competitive advantage as well. And when we saw, Vash's work and, the opportunity to work with them, we saw, like just the use of color, the expression of character, like these, actually, Vash's work is right here behind us right now. Being able to like discover the way to express these moments and have them bring their talent to it is, again, like, it's a solution that I think we could only have found through that kind of collaboration with somebody who's really, coming to a new medium as a learner and then applying everything that they've learned in their career and their talentscape to this space, which, is new to them. So yeah, that's it. That's like the nature of collaborating on art.
Yeah. I kind of think of like, when I'm looking at this one, for example, I kind of think of like Okami.
Oh, yeah,
Not in the same style, but just like the way that someone brought their unique art style and put it in a completely, put it into the game, and it's a completely like unique visual.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, this is one of the things where like our art director Adam Volker had previously worked on Creature in the Well, Stonefly, games that I think are very beautiful. And this was also one of the challenges, is like, how do we take the style of, of Adam, the style of Bash, the style of, Isabel, like, how do we take these people who have unique styles with a really, like a point of view, and then bring them into something cohesive? Like, that itself is, like, a real challenge. I'm really proud of, like, how the art team has managed to do that, right? Like, you don't see sort of like a sore thumb, like they're speaking with like a shared voice.
Yeah.
But then to like translate to 3D, it's been really hard.
Yeah.
We're using Unreal Engine in ways that are, particularly unique to like get some of those like illustrative elements, to like have a lighting solution that is going to like capture some of those like the Okami reference, like brush strokes and like the way that like color is like not blended, intentionally in some places.
It's been speckly and
Yeah, like just like the way the light like interacts with like the shadows, and you see like there's a color grading process that happens.
Yeah.
It's definitely getting Unreal to do the things that Unreal like doesn't like do for free.
Right.
It's an interesting like creative challenge, but again, I think it's worth it because the game itself is going to look unlike anything that you've seen, regardless of the engine.
Yeah, absolutely. How did the connection between your studio and the artists happen?
Well, at the very beginning, we knew, like kind of like I was saying before, that we wanted something that looked distinct, right? And we also knew that we wanted to sort of push back against, not to, I mean, I worked on Fallout 3 where we got plenty of, like brown, right? like thrown at us as a
sepia tone.
brown derogatory sort of. And we were like, look, we want to do something that looks distinct because we care about that. But we also want to do something that plays around with the idea of fungus and death. And look, it's dark. Thematically it's dark and visually it's dark. But then we wanted like explosions of color, and we wanted like vibrancy, and we wanted that to come through because there's a lot of, even in the narrative themes of the game, of like challenging the way we look at death in video games, the way that we think about our own deaths, and like we do a lot of storytelling through that. And so we wanted a strong cohesion with that on the art style, but we didn't have that in place early on. It's different when like if we had started, like if Ash or Adam or any of our art team had been part of the team at day one. Where like we may have had to like, okay, this is the mood piece, and like we know what the palette is. So for us, a lot of it was like finding the artists to work with who really like could bring that sensibility, to bring those kind of ideas, to be like, okay, like we want, like deep space sci-fi kind of horror stuff. We were looking more at Annihilation versus, Alien as like our visual inspirations, and then like make that their own. And I think that's what the team has done.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. What is something that you as a studio want to speak into existence, or a message you want developers and players alike to take away from your project?
Yeah, good question. It's like inherently like a deep one. It's a question of like how far we plumb the depths. Like
feel like that's usually something that comes after you finished, but
Every game like resists its own creation, so after never feel like it doesn't ever feel like the game's ever done.
no.
I feel myself pulled in like two directions with this. Like, on the one, I think I'll address kind of like the climate of our art form, you know, and our medium and the business and da 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 da. Like, this is a time of fear,
Mm.
and there are a lot of reasons to be afraid. And I see people acting out of fear,
Yeah.
you know, and I want to challenge that. Like,
Yeah.
the game we would have made if we were purely reacting to fear wouldn't have had a point of view.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been like, this is the checklist of like what will be safe. That's safe in the marketplace, safe in the culture, safe
Yeah.
in the, you know, the trends of, you know, whatever like we think player expectations are. So for us, like, let's try not to think about it as a zero-sum thing. That's not the way I like to look at the world. That's not the way I want to look at the work that I do. And let's also try and think about the fact that, like, the thing that other people are afraid to do is probably a place where there is opportunity. Like, everybody is running away from a certain, you know, sort of thing, and that means that there's like an audience, there are voices, there are players who are going to be underserved. So not only is it like a place to, you know, to sort of be of service through art and expression, but it's also a place where like we can come to an audience that may otherwise be neglected and create something unique for people who want something unique. You know, so I think about that. Like, I think about that a lot. Like in like the day to day of like the part of my job that is like it's a you know, as a business person really, as much as a creative person. And then like on more of like the game side, like working like our narrative director, writer of the story, Kate Tremblay, like they wrote a game before we started working together years ago called A Mortician's Tale, and that game really did something unique where it spoke about death in a way that we're uncomfortable talking about in our lives to begin with.
Yeah.
But particularly in games, we don't think of bodies, you know, that's inconsequential. A body's an inconsequential thing. Deaths are, you know, cheap. And Mortician's Tale really like challenged that. And it also did a thing of like, you know, taking sort of like the mundanity of like a real job that people have to do, and like, you know, like exposing it in a way that like you could, you know, experience and build empathy. I think games are such a unique way to offer players that sort of thing. And so with this game, you know, we're like, can we continually explore some of those ideas? So what I hope this game can do for like, you know, a large number of people, I hope that will play it, is get you to like look at death and look at, you know, bodies a little bit differently in
Absolutely.
games.
Yeah.
But then like maybe bring that into your life,
Yeah.
you know, and think about like where your place is in the community, what your legacy is, what you want to leave behind, and what you want to do, you know, like with the time that you have with the people that you love. So
Yeah.
there is, you know, it feels bleak and dark because it's a game like about death and grief, but like I think there's inherently a hopefulness to confronting those things and coming out the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking, like, I have been talking about in my own life, like, how we really need true community to come back. I don't even think we had it before COVID, for example. Like, you know, do you know who your neighbor is?
Yeah.
Do you talk to people in your area or your city, or what do you do to like help each other? You know.
Yeah.
Like, I used to make too much food. I probably still do. And, you know, invite a neighbor or whatever to, like, I don't need the leftovers. Am I going to eat it? Probably not. Like, why can't someone else have it?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if it's good.
Yeah.
Because you get to brag about it. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's nice. So I think things like that, like, thinking about it, like, I imagine there are, like, logs and journals and stuff like that in your game that kind of, like, show that sense of community that,
Yeah.
like, the main character will sort of experience and go through.
Yeah, we carry that quite deeply, and you know, we've been chatting, and I've been so like, I don't know if we like talked about this part of it, but you know, the place the game set in, you were born, right? So like, you grew up, you left, you became the scarab, this sort of Undertaker character, but your job has brought you home for the first time in 15 years.
Yeah.
And for anybody who has left a place and then come back, like seeing familiar things change, seeing how people grew, you know, there's a surreal quality to that And so we think it's like really relatable to players. But then like what we want to do through that is like show how this community was knitted together, explore how Dahlia, your character like feels sort of like, just like marginalized from that in ways that like just so, like, doesn't come through the writing and all. Like I'm into the weeds of like the way you approach story. That idea of community is something that like is really like really woven through the characters and the logs, all the different reading that you're gonna do.
Yeah, great. Well, when can we expect the game to come out?
We're not talking about that sort of thing right now.
That's fine.
Yeah, the demo's up on Steam, so a lot of what we're really focused on right now is getting the game in front of players. We've been working on it for a couple of years, and it's like still feels very fresh and weird to us that like we can talk about it.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we're doing now is like we have core systems that we really think are cool. That have a lot of potential like things that like even at like a level term, like I'm like there's so much like I can play with here. And now we just want to see how players are responding to it and let the kind of like guide, how we want to round out the experience.
So play the demo and wishlist it on Steam. Wishlisting helps a lot. And thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.